Hey there, viewers. Welcome to another spine-chilling episode of Urban Legends Unveiled. Tonight, we're diving into a story that's been circulating around our local community for quite some time. It's a tale that'll make you think twice about studying late at night or walking alone after dark. So, grab your favorite comfort item and settle in, because this story might just keep you up tonight. Have you ever experienced something you couldn't explain? A presence you felt but couldn't see? Well, that's exactly what happened to Daniel about a year ago. Let's delve into his chilling encounter and the urban legend behind it. It all started during the final exam season at Daniel's school. The pressure was on, and students were cramming every chance they got. To help out, the school decided to keep the library open until midnight. Now, his house isn't far from the school, so Daniel thought it'd be a great idea to take advantage of the quiet study space. Little did he know, this decision would lead to an unforgettable night. One evening, Daniel headed to the library around 6 o'clock. He settled into his favorite spot, surrounded by towering bookshelves and the comforting smell of old pages. Time seemed to fly by as he buried himself in his textbooks. Before he knew it, the clock struck 10. Usually, Daniel would have left by 8 when other students were still around. But tonight he was so engrossed in his studies that he lost track of time. As he looked up from his books, he noticed something unsettling. The library was eerily silent. Not a whisper, not a rustle of pages, just silence. Daniel shrugged it off, thinking he was just tired from all the studying. He decided to finish up the last few pages before heading home. That's when it happened. A sound broke through the silence. It wasn't the usual library noises. No pages turning or pencil scratching. It was a distinct, rhythmic sound. Thump, drag, thump, drag. Daniel froze, his body tensing up as he realized what it was. Someone or something was limping through the library aisles. His heart began to race as he slowly turned around. But to his surprise, the library appeared empty. Just rows and rows of books, dimly lit by the overhead lights. Daniel let out a nervous chuckle, trying to convince himself it was just his imagination. But then it happened again. This time it wasn't just a sound. Books tumbled from a nearby shelf, crashing to the floor for no apparent reason. Daniel's heart was now pounding so hard he could hear it in his ears. Fight or flight kicked in, and he chose flight. Grabbing his things, Daniel sprinted out into the corridor. His footsteps echoed loudly in the empty hallway as he ran. The exit wasn't far, just down this long hallway and a right turn. He could almost taste the fresh night air. But as he neared the exit, he saw something that made his blood run cold. There, at the end of the corridor, stood a woman. She wasn't moving, just standing there. The dim hallway lights barely illuminated her silhouette. Something about her presence sent a chill down Daniel's spine. Summoning all his courage, he called out, "Who's there?" The moment his voice echoed through the corridor, the woman vanished. Just like that, their 1 second gone the next. Daniel blinked hard, wondering if his eyes were playing tricks on him. Relief washed over him as he realized he was alone again. Without wasting another second, he rushed outside. The cool night air hit his face as he stepped onto the street. But something felt off. The streets were strangely deserted. This was unusual for this time of night. Typically, there'd be at least a few people around, maybe some late-night joggers or dog walkers. But tonight it was just empty. Daniel's exhaustion from hours of studying weighed heavily on him. But the fear of what he'd just experienced in the library kept him moving. He kept his eyes fixed on the pavement, focusing on getting home as quickly as possible. That's when he noticed it. A shadow stretching towards him on the sidewalk. A shadow with no apparent source. Slowly, hesitantly, Daniel looked up, and there she was, a woman walking ahead of him. But this wasn't just any woman taking a late-night stroll. There was something off about her. Her posture was unnatural, her movements strained and jerky. She limped heavily, each step seeming to cause her pain. As Daniel got closer, he noticed more details that made his skin crawl. Her clothes were tattered and stained, hanging loosely on her frame. Her hands and feet were twisted at odd angles, as if they'd been broken and never healed properly. Her hair was a tangled, matted mess, looking like it hadn't been washed or brushed in years. Every instinct in Daniel's body screamed at him not to get any closer. He stopped walking, frozen in place by a mixture of fear and morbid curiosity. As if sensing his presence, the woman halted too, slowly, so slowly it seemed to take an eternity. She turned her head towards him. Daniel held his breath, his heart pounding so hard he thought it might burst from his chest. Then, in a voice that was barely more than a whisper, she spoke. "Have you seen my daughter?" The words hung in the air, chilling Daniel to his core. He couldn't move, couldn't speak, couldn't even breathe. His mind raced, trying to make sense of what was happening. In a desperate attempt to make her leave, Daniel pointed blindly into the distance. The woman turned, following his gesture with her eyes. Then, without another word, she began to limp away in the direction he had pointed. Daniel watched as she disappeared into the darkness, fading from sight like a bad dream. But even as she vanished, the air felt heavy. It was as if she was still there, watching, waiting. Daniel couldn't shake the feeling of being observed. Without wasting another second, he bolted towards home. Every step felt like he was running through molasses. It was as if something unseen was trying to pull him back. Then, from far away, he heard it, a scream that chilled him to his very soul. "She is here," the voice wailed, echoing through the empty streets. Daniel ran faster than he ever had in his life. The world around him became a blur as he focused solely on getting home. The next thing Daniel remembered was waking up in our neighbor's house. They had found him unconscious outside, sprawled on the sidewalk just a few houses down from ours. When they asked him what had happened, he could barely speak. The events of the night seemed like a distant nightmare, too terrifying to be real. It wasn't until later that we learned about Amelia, our neighbor, an older woman who'd lived in the area for decades, told us the story. Amelia had been a resident in our neighborhood back in 1998. She had a daughter named Claire who attended the same school Daniel and I go to now. One tragic afternoon, Claire had been playing with her friends near the school. Nobody knows exactly what happened, but there was an accident. Claire didn't survive. The loss devastated Amelia. She never recovered from the shock of losing her only child. In the years that followed, Amelia's grief consumed her. She became convinced that Claire was still alive somewhere. Day and night, she would wander the streets near the school, searching for her daughter. She'd approach strangers, asking if they'd seen Claire. As time went on, Amelia's mental and physical health deteriorated. She became a shadow of her former self, barely recognizable to those who had known her before. Eventually, Amelia passed away, but according to local legend, her spirit never found peace. They say she still wanders the streets near the school, continuing her endless search. On quiet nights, when the streets are empty, some claim to have seen her. A limping figure, clothes tattered and hair unkempt, asking passersby a single question, "Have you seen my daughter?" Now, I know what you're thinking. This sounds like just another spooky story, right? The kind of tale people share around campfires to give each other a good scare. But here's the thing. Daniel isn't the type to make up stories. He's always been practical, level-headed, not one for ghost stories or urban legends. Yet, the fear in his eyes when he recounted that night was real. Whatever he experienced that evening changed him. Since that night, Daniel hasn't stayed late at the library. He prefers to study at home, even if it's noisier. And he always makes sure to be home before dark. Sometimes, I catch him staring out the window at night, as if he's looking for something or someone. So, what really happened that night? Did Daniel have a genuine encounter with the spirit of Amelia? Or was it all just a product of an overworked, sleep-deprived mind? We may never know for sure, but one thing's certain. This experience has become part of our local lore. A cautionary tale whispered among students, warning them about staying out too late. And who knows? Maybe Amelia is still out there, wandering the streets of our town, still searching for Claire, still asking that haunting question to anyone who crosses her path. So the next time you're out late at night, and you hear footsteps behind you, or if you see a figure in the distance, limping slowly towards you, remember Amelia's story, and maybe, just maybe, think twice before you turn around. Well, folks, that brings us to the end of tonight's chilling tale. What do you think? Could there be some truth to this urban legend? Or is it just a story we tell to scare ourselves? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever experienced something you couldn't explain? Share your own spooky encounters. We'd love to hear them. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more urban legends and mysterious tales. And remember, the next time you're studying late or walking alone at night, keep an eye out. You never know who or what might be around the corner. Until next time, stay safe and don't let the spirits get you.